Welcome to our live stream. And thank you so much, Aleksandra, for being here with me today. This is part of our job seeker series, or newcomer to Canada job seeker series, I should say, where we're specifically talking about the challenges and some of the tips and support and advice that we hopefully can offer to new Canadians who are navigating the job market here. And Alexandra today is my guest, and she works as an immigration consultant. Her and I actually have worked together before. Back when I was in my HR career, we immigrated a lot of people. I think probably over 50 people together we brought into the country to work in.
I think over 100.
Over 100. Okay, there we go. Yeah, you're counting. It's 40 you and me. Yeah, so we brought together a lot of people into the country, and she still does this work on a daily basis, bringing hundreds of people into the country. And so she is a great person to speak to these challenges about work permits and work status and all of these things that can sometimes impact the career path that new Canadians are planning or hoping to take. And so, um, I know, Alexandra, you've also been through this transition because several years ago, you also came to Canada as a new Canadian and a newcomer. And you had your own challenges in finding your footing here in the job market and figuring out how to even transition your career. So, I'd love for you to introduce yourself to our audience and just share a little bit about what that was like coming here.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Ariel, for having me. My name is Aleksandra Kostiela. Try to pronounce my name. Um, yes, I am a Canadian, proud Canadian, but I immigrated to Canada about like 15 years ago. And I had to face, or I faced, struggles similar to probably many of our audience have coming to Canada. I had a marketing executive career back in my home country, but when I came here, well, it was very difficult for me. I had to rethink totally my experience, my career, and adjust it to the Canadian labor needs. And I had to figure out which part of my education, which part of my experience can benefit my Canadian career at the best. As you can hear me, like I make a huge distinction between my past career and my Canadian career. Why that? Well, the markets are different and the labor needs are also different. And I had to be extremely flexible, probably step a little bit down on my career ladder and try to find joy in my new tasks, new career, to reimagine myself, I would say, to be happy at what I'm doing.
Yeah, big transition, right? And so tell our audience a little bit now about what do you do on a daily basis? What's your work like, and who are you helping?
So I'm an immigration consultant, so I work with organizations and and the persons with the and individuals on all immigration issues they may face. So from LMIA to LMIA exempt work permits through all types business and family permanent residency applications. You name it. The only probably what I'm not doing is the refugee immigration law. We all specialize in some areas of law. This I do not do, but all the rest I'm happy to help.
Hmm. And I'm guessing that your passion for working with new Canadians and new immigrants came a little bit from your experience. How did you get from marketing into doing this kind of work?
Well, firstly, my marketing experience, and I used to work with like the global firms like Microsoft, L'Oreal. It was not much recognized on the Calgary uh, market because I didn't have any oil patch experience, and it's crucial to land a good job here in Calgary. Or at least it was 15 years ago. Uh, so it just happened that I was offered the foreign nationals recruiter job, where I could translate my marketing skills to market jobs to foreign nationals and to market foreign nationals to employers in Canada. So it was the sort of transition or reinventing my career. Um, and It were great. I was exposed to work with foreign nationals, hence the immigration law, and more and more, my appetite for helping newcomers grew. It's why I went to university to study immigration law, and here I am. I'm still working with foreign nationals, not helping them find jobs, but helping them to be legally in Canada and to work legally in Canada.
Yeah, wonderful. Well, and that's partly what I do, right? Is helping people to find work, to find meaningful work. And a lot of the clients that I serve are newer Canadians that have had to make similar pivots to you, that have had to figure out what is their transferable skills and what is the market for those and how can they apply that here. So
Absolutely.
yeah, so I want to jump into some kind of big questions about like what's happening right now in the immigration world and what are some of the changes or shifts that you're seeing in the immigration pathways available to skilled workers coming into our country.
So I believe many of people who are interested in coming to Canada or interested to stay in Canada for longer, obviously do some search in the internet or hear from here and there that there's a lot of change in the Canadian immigration. Yes and no. Firstly, we need to understand the Canadian immigration is always strategized to support the Canadian economy. So we can observe this, this waves, these tides, um, like with focus, like moments more focus on having more immigrants and then the slower times. And we are in the slower time right now. We are coming back with the immigration level pretty much to pre-pandemic, pre-COVID numbers. Because after COVID, Canada needed so badly any workers. It was accepted like way probably too much. So firstly, let's have hope. It's temporary. It will be better. Sooner than later, it will be better. Uh, but every shift in the immigration law, every shift in economy-related immigration changes, well, creates a lot of changes, creates a lot of stress for those who need to apply. Okay, so I would I would just tell you on very like generic level what are the changes. So the the changes are mostly to funnel those who have real genuine job offers to come to Canada. So yes, the work permits are still approved, LMIAs are still approved, though there's a way more scrutiny put on the genuinity, the real job offer. Is this true, or is this created by so-called LMIA farms? And obviously, it comes from the situation with a lot of LMIA fraud which happened in the past. Though are work permits approved? Yes, they are. There's a little bit more restrictions, especially for spousal open work permits, a little bit more restrictions for PR applications, and there's uh, less approvals for or less spots for permanent residency applicants for 2025. But this is still happening. It's a little bit harder, but it's happening. So the hope and persistence are the two main factors for the success here.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah. Good to know. And so are there specifically any recent changes this year to like express entry or the provincial nominee programs that our audience should be aware of?
Uh, yes. So first of all, for the provincial nominee programs, the intake caps, the number how many applicants can apply, are reduced by pretty much 50% across all provinces and territories. So it's way higher. And considering the backlogs, which were from the previous year, well, probably 2025, it's not the best moment for the big provinces to apply under provincial nominee. Of course, we have situation where, like with Nunavut or Northwest Territories, and it might be easier there, but the big provinces like BC, Alberta, Ontario, and Saskatchewan and Manitoba, well, this will be way harder to go under provincial nominee program. Express entry, on the other hand, first of all, express entry is not a program. It's not a migration program. It's an intake system. Okay. And this intake system uh, awards points um, to any candidate who is in the system. So the biggest problem right now with express entry is the threshold um, for these points for express entry is very high. They are called CRS points. It's very high. Why? Because it's many candidates in the pool. Okay, and it's from the previous year or years. And the major change which impacted recently, really a couple of weeks ago, the majority of the applicants, it's a removal of so-called qualifying job offer. This qualifying job offer based on LMIA or LMIA exempt work permits, um, in the past was giving extra 50 or 200 points, the TRS points, to the applicant in the express entry system. So those who had this, for example, 200 points, they could go on the top of the pile with the applications. They could be selected or invited to apply sooner than the others. This has been moved recently. I don't know if it's for forever or it's temporary. We'll see. But this, I would say, mostly affects right now the applicants.
Yeah. So it sounds like there is some impact in terms of the limitations and the changes that are happening. How would you say that's impacting the experience of these people that are job seeking and trying to navigate the the work permit system?
Um,
I imagine it's stressful.
it's it's stressful. It's uncertainty. Like you pretty much like the applicant pretty much doesn't know if he can if it's already in Canada. Pretty much doesn't know if he or she can stay for how much longer he or she can stay. So it's a lot of stress and a lot of frustration here, right? And obviously, those who sometimes invested a lot of money to come to Canada to study, to have a work permit after, and then to apply for a permanent residency, now are in sort of situation that the work permits, the postgraduate work permits expire, and they have no other option than come back to their home country. So, after investing dozens of thousands of dollars in the Canadian education and not having the opportunity to stay in the country, well, it's hard.
Mhm. Yeah. Super frustrating, I can imagine. Yeah. Um
Yeah.
so we've also seen some impact, I think, with like the trade and economic shifts that are happening this year, especially with those, the economic relationship with the U.S. And the ability maybe for people to cross border and work. Like I've even heard some of my clients saying it's harder for them to find a job here than it is in the U.S. And they're now looking to leave their Canadian work permit situation and go down to the U.S. because they believe it's going to be easier there. What are you seeing in terms of like the applications and people crossing border to try and find work? And how is the tariffs and sort of the economic situation impacting that?
Well, tightening the US Canada border definitely has an impact on cross border work or working. Why that? Because firstly, the American immigration system is way more harder. There's like um, they are not as keen as they were before to offer work permit to Canadians. It's much harder to obtain one or to reapply or for extension. Those are also changes on the Canadian side of the border. And I would say the biggest change for the Canadians, and this again impacts the work permit and work permit extensions. It's it's something what is called flag polling. So what is flag polling? It's a situation when someone could go to the port of entry, to the border, just cross the border and return to Canada to apply for the Canadian work permit. Okay. So pretty much there was a situation if you were from the visa exempt country and you were eligible to apply at the port of entry, you could get your work permit renewed or apply for your work permit pretty much in one day. Now, the only option is to apply for the work permit extension from in Canada. It's online and it's over 220 days to get one right now, which it's a year. So again, like being in so-called implied status, and the work in Canada, not knowing when your work permit will be approved, and not being able to leave Canada for not losing this implied status, it's definitely very stressful.
Mhm. So there are people that are then here that have basically their work permit has expired. They have this long timeline for their extension. They can't cross the border and do a port of entry or flagpole,
Now they cannot anymore.
and they're not allowed to leave and go back to their home country either because they're on this implied status. So we have,
Yes, they can leave, but if they come back,
yeah,
the implied or maintained that status, it will be not maintained anymore.
yeah, that's a really tricky situation
Yeah.
for lots of people. Yeah. So let's talk sort of in like kind of big picture again, like in plain language, like how does the someone's immigration status impact their ability to keep or land work here in Canada? So the immigration work permit situation is one piece, but how does that impact their ability to actually find a job in Canada?
Uh, well, in very simple words, it's illegal to work in Canada without work permit. Okay. So there is a number of countries which give the opportunity of its citizens to have an open work permit before they can come to Canada. And in the situations, they can look for any job. But I would say the majority of all other situations is that the person who wants to work in Canada has to have some status in Canada. So it's either work permit, either it's residency, PR status. So this is the major document. Without this, you cannot work. So this will be, I would say, principle for anyone who wants to keep or to have a job here. If your work permit is expiring, uh, your employer needs to apply for a new one. You cannot work without work permit.
Yeah. I'm curious, how often do you see employers supporting the work permit process with a job offer to help people either renew or get their work permit? Or is it more common for people to have the work permit before they come?
I would break it down like to two situations. Firstly, it's when you're applying for a new job, you are new to the country. It's somehow logical that the employed or employers do not trust you, so they don't want to invest time and money in your first work permit. So it's ideal for the situation of people who have like open work permit. It's just like because of some bilateral agreement from the home country or spouse open work permit, any type of open work permit. So when you put your foot into the Canadian labor market or to get connected with some employers and you work with them, usually they help to apply for another work permit for the good um, employee, foreign national whom they want to retain. So obviously it depends on where this person is from, what his or her citizenship is. It can be easier ways or harder. The easier one are LMIA exempt work permits. And honestly, all employers I ever worked with who had the opportunity to support the employee with LMIA exempt work permit applications, they all applied for that.
Mm.
LMI, it's a little bit harder because it takes a lot of time and money and work on the employer side, but they do this as well. But LMI exempt, like I would say, 95% of the employers support the employees.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I'm glad that our Canadian employers are supporting people to stay once they have that initial foot in the door, like you said. I want to offer, our listeners some guidance. Maybe can you share what are some common mistakes or misunderstandings that you see people making when it comes to work permits or even to PR applications?
Thank you for this question. It's a very, very good question. Um, Both for work permits and PR applications, the major and key factor is to understand your NOC code. NOC code is National Occupation Classification Code number, or we call it NOC number. And it's pretty much the description from the government, from ESDC, of the certain position. And for like quick advice, never look at the job title. Always try to define the no code by the job description. It must be aligned with your with your own job description. So it has to be matching at least 80%. Um, and it's crucial for the success of your application, work permit application, because, for example, many um, work permit applications, many streams are limited only to certain knock. And then for PR application, it's a crucial to know your leading knock code, because it can qualify or disqualify you from certain PR applications. And the other factor I would like to bring your attention to is being focused on details. So law is law. It's not too much room for interpretation. It's not too flexible. So the document requirements, forms validity, format of documents validity. i- There's no flexibility here. If the law says that your police certificate cannot be older than 6 months, it cannot be older than 6 months. If you are having representative, and use of representative must be um, signed within the past 90 days, well, it doesn't mean that cannot be signed 91 days ago. If the law says that you have to deliver your police certificate from every country you have lived for 6 months consecutively, well, it must be 6 months, and there is no room for interpretation. You cannot say, but I was there for 6 months and one day, so I don't think this one day matters. It matters. So details, details, details.
Mm. Yeah, that's good advice. Thanks for sharing that. One of the situations I see happening is people who come here with a very strong professional background, and then they find themselves working in survival jobs because they haven't figured out how to get their career goals kind of on track to match with their international experience. Um, and sometimes there's a challenge too with the immigration path that they're on. So what advice would you give for someone who's trying to match their immigration path with their career goals to kind of future their career? What are their options?
Well, obviously, it's ideal to land the job of your dreams, right? But the reality is not always like that, especially when we are coming to a different country, to totally different labor market. We do not have our network. We are studying, and we have to build ideals. So yes, survival jobs are important, but we can learn from them a lot as well. Actually, like my first jobs, it was a volunteering jobs, because I wanted to learn um, organizations work in Canada, what they is like employment perspectives, what is important, what is um, the culture. They are different than in many other countries. So treat this survival job as a learning moment for you, and don't give up and look for your like your dream job. It's hard. It's hard, no doubts about that. But it's doable. It's so many of us are having like really successful careers. We are very happy in what we are doing. Uh, but perseverance, hope, and hard work, this is the key. And your survival job one day will change into your dream job. I promise.
That's encouraging. I appreciate that.
As far as sorry, certain, and of course, like it's sometimes survival jobs can lead you to permanent residency if it's your goal. For example, many constructions jobs, which might be not the dream job for let's say engineer, but they can lead to permanent residency, and then probably it'll be way way more easier to find the job of your dreams.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. How can someone assess if they're on the right immigration path or immigration option to suit their long-term goals? Like if they're not sure that the current, immigration or type of work permit essentially that they're on will match their long-term goals, how could they assess that?
That's a very good question. And obviously, many people are seeking for advice on the internet, with AI. And yes, you can find a lot of good answers there, but not perfect. I always recommend if one is looking for like really reliable advice, ask expert. Ask someone who is a career coach, advisor, immigration specialist, like like to advise, right? You and it's us because we know what we do, and it's not only that we know the theory and law, but we have a lot of of experience, which we can translate to somebody else's situation. Uh, so this is what I recommend.
Wonderful. Are there any specific support systems or resources as well that you would like to share with our audience that maybe are underused, but that could help them navigate their options better? Like in community resources or associations, for example?
Absolutely, absolutely. There is a lot, a lot. Well, I will be speaking as of Calgary, right? But it's a lot of newcomers dedicated organizations where you can look for free English classes or free adaptation to the Canadian labor market classes, or for like accounting programs, like maybe in your home country you are doing something with numbers, and they will teach you here how to do this in Canada, and then they will help you with jobs. They also organize job fairs. I volunteer with a number of them. In Canada, one of the biggest is CUA, which is kind of like Calgary Immigrant Women Association. The other one is, which I really like to work with, PIES, PIES. Um, and there's plenty of others. And so like really amazing, even when I like, because you might think like, okay, I have a child and I have nobody to leave my child with because my family cannot support me here. I'm alone here. Well, they even offer the kindergartens for kids. So it's all very well planned to help you land better and easier in Canada.
Hmm. That's awesome. That's good to hear. Yeah, I think there's also the, is it Calgary Immigrant Society and the Newcomer
Yeah.
Society, right? There's just
It's
like a few.
it's plenty. I would say there's at least 20 organizations in Calgary itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just Google them, I guess, would be our advice to find what you need because there's a lot of resources out there. So you don't have to go.
Yeah, immigration support, immigrant support, newcomers support, and this will be a really good result. Even Calgary Library offers the free English classes. So
Yeah, amazing. And if people do
yeah,
have a consultation with you or get specifically advice from you, Alexandra, how could they reach out to you and connect with you?
well, they can reach out to me through LinkedIn. That's one way. The other one is my website, www.immigrate.canadavisa.ca. Uh, and I'm always happy to help. I offer free of charge, like free assessment, like a quick assessment. And, um, if I can help someone, then I can offer the consultation. If the pre-assessment says that I resulted that I cannot see the option, I'm never charged and the potential clients for a non-option paid situation. It's not my way to do the
Yeah,
things.
excellent. So there's no harm in reaching out for some free advice to figure out what their options.
No.
Yeah, wonderful. Um, we're coming to the end of our time here, and I want to thank you so much for being here with us and for sharing your wisdom and advice. And I would love to just invite you to share any last words of encouragement or perspective that you would like to offer those who are maybe feeling a little bit stuck or discouraged about their immigration situation at the moment here in Canada.
First of all, Canada is a great country, and I believe this is the country with like countless opportunities for those who want to work hard, want to be flexible, and don't want to give up on their dreams. And it worked for me. It will work for others. I strongly believe in the statement.
Excellent. Yeah. And I do as well. I have to say I've seen so many people work towards their dream jobs and take those steps. And I call them, small pivots, right? We can't always do a 180 and land exactly where we want, but we can take steps in the right direction. And with people's support like Alexandra and with, coaching from people like myself on your career, yeah, we believe that you can make it happen. So feel free to reach out to either of us. Thanks again so much for being
Thank you.
my guest, and
Thank you for having me.
have a wonderful rest of your week. Thanks everyone for joining us today on our video about immigration experience and the newcomers' experience to Canada. Have a good day.
Thank you.